All right, guys, welcome back to Nate's Bow Hunting. This week we're talking top 5 mistakes bow hunters make when targeting big bucks. We all love chasing them big bucks, right, guys? Whether you're after a 100-inch buck or a 200-inch buck, if you're hooked on chasing big deer, you think about it almost every day like me. And it's a year-round game. It's not just a bow season thing where you pick up the bow and go out there. You think about that buck that made it last year. You're strategizing how you're gonna put them down this year. Always thinking of your next move, that chess match to stack the odds in your favor. Nothing to guarantee you can have the best properties in the world. Something we're gonna hit on. It could be in Iowa, but if you're not hunting your property right and not utilizing these 5 things correctly, you're not gonna be successful taking down these big bucks on a consistent basis. We can all get lucky once in a while and kill a big buck, it happens. But to do it year after year, there takes a lot of strategy, a lot of thought, and 5 things that you don't want to be doing that are gonna ruin your chances or greatly lower your chances to take down that big buck. Thanks for tuning in to Nate's Bow Hunting. Let's get to it. If you love chasing big bucks, well, this is the channel for you. I don't own hundreds of thousands of acres. I didn't move out to Iowa. I hunt 2 small family farms here in Wisconsin. And we're gonna talk about everything from food plots and hunting strategies to take down the biggest buck in your neighborhood. I'm putting this video out, save you guys the headaches, save you guys the sorrow that I went through hunting properties wrong and thinking just because you got a good piece or if you got a real big piece, it doesn't guarantee you're gonna put down a big deer. You still gotta hunt it right. Guys that own just smaller chunks of land like myself, you know, I'm not a TV celebrity star out in Iowa with 1,000 acres and 10 different farms to hunt. I sure wish I was, but unfortunately I'm not. This relates to all style hunters, whether you got a 2-acre piece that you like to bow hunt and chase big deer, or whether you got a 1,000-acre piece. Make all these mistakes, you're not gonna be successful taking down big deer. And I've seen it. I've been doing a lot of property consults, and I've seen properties way better than mine. Way bigger than mine, way better than mine. I hunt a little 14-acre piece and a little 5-acre piece, 2 family farms. I've been to farms that, you know, 130 acres in Iowa. There was one in Illinois that was looked really primo. And hey, they got way bigger deer on camera than what I harvest, you know, 200-inch deer they're chasing. Way more deer sign, higher deer density. And guess what? They're failing to take down mature whitetail. It's not because the property, obviously, because the trail cameras will tell you what you got in the area. It just comes down to how you're hunting that property. And hey, it took me years to learn this. First couple of years on these 2 small family farms, I messed up on some giant whitetails, not 200-inch, but some giant whitetails. Knew what I knew now, I think I would have had a real good shot at taking down at least one, if not a lot of those big bucks. So let's get to number 1, guys. So number 1 thing you can do to mess up and totally destroy your awesome hunting property, no matter how big, how small, where you're located, is access and exit and stand placement. They go hand in hand, guys. This was a tough number 1 for me, but I really do believe, just being out to the properties I've been out to, some of these awesome properties with deer sign and ginormous deer, and the biggest thing I see, the biggest problem I see is stand placement. You can't put your stands right over your food plots, no matter how good your property is. You can't hunt right on top of the biggest trail that you have through your farm if your access there, if deer are gonna smell your access. You can't do it. You might kill, if you kill them that first time you go out, yes, hey, work great for you, everything's good. But I'm telling you guys, these deer, their nighttime movements are totally different. And when they move through a property at night, guess what? They're smelling where you walk to your stand. They're smelling, you know, where your stand is, if you've been in there and if it's not where it should be. They know where you are, and they're gonna remember that for their daytime movement. They'll only move in the daytime where they feel safe, unless they get on a hot doe. If they get on a hot doe, everything changes, you can get luck. But these big bucks are very strategic. That's how they get old, right? And that's why they're so hard to kill, and that's why we love chasing them. If your stand placement, guys, and I got plenty of videos on this, I won't beat a dead horse, but you need bulletproof stand locations. If you love hunting as much as me, and you just got 2 small farms to do it, you got to pay extra special attention, because you can burn out a small farm real quick. And that big buck sees you or smells you one time, he could be gone a week, 2 weeks, and if it's in that pre-rut window, your chance to get another opportunity to him are slim to none, guys, unless you get lucky and he gets on the doe. So stand placement, very important to consistently take down mature bucks. Let's get to number 2. So I sure wish I would have watched this video my early days of hunting. Like I said, I would have had a lot more opportunities to probably kill a lot more and bigger bucks in my early days of hunting. I thought I'd get this out here for you guys, so you guys can see mistakes that I've made and that I see all the time being on other properties that are causing these guys not to take down their target buck, whether it's a 3-year-old or a 6.5-year-old. Number 2 on the list, guys, kind of goes hand in hand with number 1. Human intrusion or too many hunters on the property. Some of my neighboring properties around the farm I hunt, they have a lot bigger farms than me, a lot more cover than me, and they failed to take down mature bucks. It's not because I'm that much better of a hunter than them. It's because they're competing with each other, and there's human intrusion all over the woods. They're racing, okay, which guy gets the best stand? I got to get out there before Henry gets out there. And they're competing versus working together about hunting the property. Just like I said about your stand access, deer are gonna know where you've been. They're gonna smell you, guys. You can take a shower, you can buy a 5-gallon bucket of scent-free body spray, and dump it over your head and soak your boots and your gear in it. And guess what? I'm gonna tell you right now, those mature deer and does are gonna know where you are, and they're not gonna feel safe in daytime, and your property's gonna flip nocturnal like that. I got nocturnal buck videos as well, and your chance to harvest them are gonna go way down. You still might get lucky and take one here and there. Seek one. Guys are killing giants in the city and people's backyards, subdivisions. Well, guess what? Even the strategy, you know, yeah, they're shooting them in people's backyards, but if they enter that deer's little bubble, that 40-yard radius, they'll pick up on them and they gone. So you got to be really careful entering, getting on the deer's main trail or getting in their zone, because they're going to know you're there and they're going to move on. So human intrusion will destroy any great hunting property. Common mistakes I see all the time, so you guys cannot make those mistakes and be a little more successful. And if you guys need some additional help, you want me to come out to your property, shoot me an email. I do been doing some virtual property consults as well, but I can come out to your property, check it out if you need a little additional help. Let's get to number 3. All right, number 3, why bow hunters slip up on taking down mature bucks every season. Not hunting the right days. So I hear and see this a lot. Guys, you know, even bow season opens in September here in Wisconsin. They're rushing out there, they gotta hunt just because the season's open. Even though they don't have a big buck pattern at daytime at all, they might have night picks of them. And I know it's hard to get off work, guys, but you know, some guys will take 2 weeks off straight and hunt every day straight and just burn out their stands, especially on these small properties. Even bigger properties, you can burn out stands. You gotta hunt the right days. In the Midwest here, any good cold front in October, you gotta get in the stand, guys. If you got a mature buck, even if he hasn't daylighted yet, you gotta get in the stand. I shot a 7.5-year-old buck this season. I put a bad shot on him, my arrow got deflected. Had him all nighttime pictures, September, October. First real good cold snap, October 15th, dropped 35 degrees. Crawled up in the stand, boom. Put an arrow through him, first time he ever daylighted. I saw it coming. Unfortunately, arrow got deflected. That buck is still alive, so hopefully we get to see the story of that buck in the 2025 bow season. But I ended up taking down a real nice 10-point November 20th. When those bucks make that last run to find those last few does and estrus, one of those peak days, and it was another 20-30 degree cold snap. I put myself in the stand. I was in the stand for 15 minutes, guys, in the morning, and he come through. He had a doe in there. Cold fronts in October, pre-rut October 20th, 21st. You got to start hunting some evenings. Obviously that peak rut, Halloween, November 1st through about November 14th, 15th. You can sit all full days as long as you got proper stand access and you haven't had too much human intrusion. And then November 16th through about November 22nd, it's kind of back to evening hunts, morning and evening hunts, first 2 hours, last 2 hours. Your cameras tell you, obviously, if you're blowing out deer, it's not gonna work out for you. They're gonna pick up on you and go nocturnal real quick. You know, we wait all year for season. It's so tempting to overhunt, but you gotta wait for those peak days, guys. And obviously, if you have a mature buck pattern in daylight, slide in there and kill him. Especially if you have small properties, he can shift. You know, I've seen bucks shift out of the blue on these smaller parcels, and either they get hit by a car, they get on a doe and go a mile, 2 miles away. So it's good to kill them in that pre-rut before peak rut, because they can wander, guys. It's worked out for my advantage. Seeing some giant bucks I've never seen before and getting opportunities at them, it's worked out for my disadvantage. Right when I'm ready to move in on my buck, they're gone, and I don't see them till the end of November again. You got to hunt those peak days, guys. Give me your guys' thought. That has either been your mistake, your biggest mistakes you believe until you figured it out. Maybe you haven't figured it out yet. But what do you think are the, even if it's just the biggest 1 or 2 mistakes that hunters make, in your opinion? I'm curious, I'm always learning. But in my opinion, these are the top 5 mistakes that I see and hear about being on all these different properties, and that I made early in my career. But I want to know what you guys think, so please drop a comment. Let's get to number 4. All right, if you guys have been following me, you might know number 4 already. What is number 4 that'll keep you from harvesting that big buck this year? Especially smaller properties on this one. Shooting does and small bucks. So I won't beat a dead horse with shooting does, guys, but I've hit on it over and over again. A doe is my secret buck bait. Hunting, you know, a little 5-acre piece, little 14-acre piece. I hold the does with my food plots. I don't set up right over my food plots. I set up 100, 200 yards down on a trail, and these big bucks come into these thickets I have created, you know, dogwood, willows, and I got good food, milo in there, and they'll come sniffing out these does, and I'll be there waiting. I do not shoot any does, guys. Obviously, if you see 30 does out in your field, you can probably take a doe or 2 out. You know, if I see 5, 10 does tops, that's a lot out here by me. So utilize those does. I mean, how many times these record deer, 200-inch deer, my biggest buck, 170-inch buck, was on a doe. My second biggest buck was on a doe. But all these, you know, giant deer, 200-inch plus deer, the only time they get these bucks to slip up, guys, is when he's on a doe. I've heard it over and over again. Just think that one doe you shoot might have led that your target buck or a 200-inch buck right by your stand. But now you killed her, and he's going to go to your neighbor's property and find a different doe. So always keep that in the back of your head. When that doe walks out 15 yards broadside, and you got trigger finger, and you want to let that arrow fly, you want to smoke something, don't do it, guys. Not on your own parcel. Go down to some public land and whack a doe if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend doing it on your parcel. And let's get to the second part of that, shooting small bucks. I have a few neighbors that manage similar to me, but I also have some neighbors that just 1.5, 2.5, dead buck. It's your guys' tag, you do what you want. But if you're after, you know, a 3.5, 100-inch buck to 200-inch buck, 3.5-year-old to a 6.5, 7.5-year-old buck, and you've been bow hunting for a while like me, you know, you just want to take down mature bucks. It's all relative to where you live, obviously. I get that. But if you're after, you know, a good sized buck, and I consider that a 3.5-year-old plus, I always target a 4.5-year-old plus. When I took that step passing 3.5-year-olds, you get some nice 3.5-year-olds, guys. They'll come out in front of you broadside, and it's very tempting. That's part of what got me into filming too, so I can enjoy some of these bucks that I pass. At least I have footage of them, and you know, because you hear guys say all the time, oh yeah, I passed a 130 today. It looked like a 3.5. Or, oh, did you get a picture, video of them? Oh no. Well, you know, usually they're just not having any luck hunting. I'm holding out for a 150 or a 160, a couple 3-year-olds, but I never got a picture of them. So saying it and then actually having, you know, a real nice 3.5 come out in front of you, and I've shot 3.5s. By me, a nice 4.5-year-old buck's a trophy around me. So you got to pass the small ones to let them get big. It may seem really simple, but some guys don't get it, especially here in Wisconsin. We could be like Iowa if you ask me, but everyone's got to get on board and pass these younger deer. We have a lot more problems than that, obviously, but you're newer into hunting, kids hunting. My kids, they want to shoot a little basket rack, let them shoot it. You know, and every year they're trying to shoot a little bigger buck. By all means. My oldest shot a nice 3-year-old with a compound bow. It was his first buck with a compound and set the bar kind of high for himself. But, you know, after you've been hunting for a while, usually you want to set your standard, get a little better every year and try to shoot something bigger. At least I do. But teach their own. Everyone's got their own goals. But biggest thing is, guys, let them does go on those smaller properties. They could bring that big buck right to you. Let's get to number 5. All right, guys, number 5. The biggest reason guys aren't gonna harvest a big buck this year, the biggest mistake they're gonna make: no security cover or food. If you guys have seen my last week's video, you know just what I'm talking about. I'm gonna put it right up here. I got 5 things that couple as bedding or security cover. They're similar, that provide the security cover and food. 5 things. A lot of people have it on their property, they don't even know about it. If you do, you can let it spread, or we're talking a well-managed woods, you can do TSI, hinge cutting, and create some food as well as bedding, security cover. This is at my home farm here. But if I'm walking through this to get to my stand, this is useless. This isn't security cover. They're gonna come in here at the nighttime and maybe bed. They're gonna come in the nighttime and browse this dogwood, but they're not gonna use this during the daytime. I just ruined it. Security cover is untouched deer habitat and food. So I'm not gonna beat a dead horse on the 5 things, but the 5 things are a well-managed woods, corn, willows, dogwood, like you see behind me, and one of my new personal favorites for security cover and food, Milo, red Milo, sorghum. I got a link in my video. Purchase that if you guys are looking for some real good seed and what I use. I also have a Milo video. So those are 5 things I utilize for security cover and food on my property. Having small properties, guys, a lot different than having a couple hundreds, thousands of acres where you can have all your bedding over here. And you know, if you want to do your switchgrass, which is just bedding, can be bedding if you plan it right, and then you're bedding over here and set up in between it. But when you got small properties, you got to attract as many deer, especially bucks, to your property as possible, and those does, which are going to bring the big bucks. If you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and have security cover and food together, why not, guys? Corn, Milo, willows, dogwood. Absolutely crush this dogwood. It is fantastic. Deer browse makes up 70-80% of their diet. And security cover, guys. So it's not security cover if you're walking through it. If you got to stand in it, if you're accessing through it, that's not security cover anymore. I've been to some properties. These food plots are right out of a magazine. Absolutely gorgeous and huge. And they get fantastic bucks using them. Mostly all at nighttime. Why? Because they're walking right through their food plot, or they got to stand right over their food plot. And the deer are watching a guy get down in the evening and get out of his stand. Or he's sitting up there at dark and people say, oh, I'll wait till the deer all clear the field. Well, if you got night vision, you got a thermal binoculars up there you can see. But there's always going to be deer watching on the edge of those fields. You may think they're all gone, but they're going to see you. I guarantee it. So you got to be really careful with your food plots not being like a security, a safe food plot for these deer during the daytime. They're going to hit them, continue to hit them at nighttime and walk by your cameras and tease you. But if you're over hunting them, not going to do any good. So yeah, guys, having a lot of acres or having some prime hunting land definitely helps you to take down mature bucks every year, but it's not a guarantee. I got a neighbor by one of my farms here. He's got 300-400 acres and he struggles to take down a bull buck every year. If you've got a buddy or someone you know that you think will enjoy the channel, please share the channel with them as well. I've been doing this for about 2 years and gained a pretty good following. I have a lot of fun sharing my passion of chasing big bucks with you guys on small properties here in Wisconsin. So I think about it almost every day. Might be a little obsessed, but I love it, guys. So thanks for watching the video. It's cold again. I'm freezing. That's about it for me. So we'll see you next week.